Tina said above the din. Muffy was a tiny Yorkshire Terrier with a pink bow on top of her head. She was yapping loudly. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Tina, why did you bring a dog? What else was I going to do with her? I don't know, but you could have warned me. I mean, how do you know dogs are even allowed at the house? What if we get told to leave midweek? Tina, this is not a good idea. She shrugged as she snuggled the now growling Muffy against her flat chest. I looked up the house online, and the owner made a point of saying it was dog-friendly. But you didn't ask any of us. What if we didn't want a dog? I slid back into the car and pulled out of the drive. Muffy's noise-making was down to a low snarl. Tina fluttered her hand again. Who wouldn't want a sweetie like this? And she loves the beach. She reached down into the huge open purse at her feet and drew out a plastic bag filled with what looked like tiny bones. She gave one to Muffy, who crunched a few times, leaving crumbs on the car seat, which Tina brushed to the floor. I turned the corner and started down the hill. I didn't even know you had a dog. Oh, she cooed. Muffy is so much more than a dog. I glanced at Muffy, who bared tiny teeth. Is she also a barracuda? Silly. I pulled into Kelly's driveway. Her stuff was on the porch. I beeped the horn, and she and Deb came hurrying out. I got out and popped open the back of the van. Deb got to the van first and stared. Are you kidding? She said. Tina had gotten out, and now she threw her arms around Deb's neck. I'm so happy to see you, she squealed. Deb dropped her suitcase and returned the hug. Tina, baby, it's good to see you too, but what did you bring? You know we stay only a week, right? Tina repeated her hello, how are you dance with Kelly, who gave me a look over the top of Tina's head. Deb, I said, I was thinking we could put the beer on the seat between you two and back, and maybe Kelly's tote on the floor. Deb had moved a few things around in the back of the van and managed to get her suitcase in. Well, we can try. If not, I'll just bungee cord myself across the hood like a dead deer, she said, and went off to get the beer. Kelly's bag took up the last available inch of space, and when I closed the back of the van, I might have heard a crunch. Kelly opened the car door, struggling with her tote bag, and screamed, Annie, there's a rat in your van! No, that's not a rat, I told her, taking the tote and pushing the snarling Muffy out of the way. It's Muffy. Kelly turned to Tina. Why did you bring a dog? Tina shouldered her way past us and grabbed Muffy. Because she's going to be so much fun. Deb was coming toward us, staggering under the weight of too much beer. I grabbed the top 12-pack, and we got everything packed in nicely. I got behind the wheel. Okay, so we're set? She asked. Tina pushed Muffy at me. No, I really need to pee. Kelly sighed, unlatched her seatbelt, got out of the van, and led Tina into the house. Deb and I sat in silence, except for Muffy, who was still snarling. This is a first, Deb said at last. What, the dog? She shook her head. No, I already need a drink, and we haven't even left town. We were doing fine until we got to the bridge. I hated driving, seriously. But I'd made a pact with myself after my divorce to get out of my comfort zone, and driving long distances was part of the plan. Usually there wasn't much traffic on the Throgs Neck Bridge on a Sunday morning. There never had been in previous years, so when things started slowing down, I wasn't too worried. Besides, Tina was on new meds, right? She once told us she hadn't been to New York City in 8 years because she was afraid to cross the George Washington Bridge. When someone suggested using one of the tunnels instead, she'd started hyperventilating. We had decided on a radio station. We'd laughed at the vast expanse of dark storm clouds in front of us because Kelly's phone insisted that there was no rain in the forecast. Tina had told us stories of her crazy neighbors in her condo building and had us laughing out loud. Muffy had stopped snarling. And then the van went from 6 miles an hour to a complete stop. It took Tina a few minutes to notice because she was turned around in her seat, talking to Deb and Kelly about a samples-only shop she'd found where you could buy $1,200 shoes for half price. Deb had never even looked at a pair.